I was terrified when the German soldier came into the house and threatened my father. So I jumped out of the kitchen window. I just couldn't bear to see what he was going to do to my father, because I'd never seen anything like that before.
Eleni Sfoundouris was 12 years old when on the 10th of June 1944, her village became the scene of one of the worst atrocities committed by the Nazi forces, the Distomo massacre. Even today, Eleni's memories are vivid, a mixture of fear and of guilt for surviving.
If I hadn't left, maybe I could have saved one of my sisters. I was the eldest. One of my sisters was 9 years younger, and the other was 6 years younger. They took them, my family, all outside and killed them with a machine gun. And my mother's brains were spread out on the street. It was my grandmother who found them.
On that fateful day, SS troops went door to door and massacred 218 civilians in Distomo. It was part of a retaliation measure for a partisan attack on Nazi soldiers. Survivors fled atrocities which included bayoneted babies and stabbed pregnant women. Today, Distomo stands as a symbol of Greek suffering during the World War II Nazi occupation. Sufferings many Greeks say have never been officially recognized nor compensated for by Germany. Christos Papanikolaou has lived in Distomo all his life. He volunteers as curator for this memorial. Inside, a morbid reminder of the massacre, the skulls of those killed. Even though it happened over 70 years ago, the Distomo massacre still looms heavily over the village's collective soul.
Μεγαλώνοντας, νόμιζα ότι το χωριό ήταν όλο γριές.
Growing up, I thought the village was only full of old ladies, because everyone wore black.
Πολλά χρόνια για να ακουστούν τραγούδια.
In the village, it took years for us to hear laughter or music, and the big highlight was happening every evening, when all the people, little children and old ladies wearing black, went to the cemetery.
Christos says not only Greeks but Germans come and visit the memorial where the names and ages are engraved. And while he doesn't blame the Germans, he says the question of war reparations has to be settled.
There has never been a peace agreement between Greece and Germany. And secondly, this story is not closed legally either, because Germany has paid some money indeed, but it was money for a certain purpose, and not as reparations for the victims.
Kelly and Christina Stamoulis's late father was the lawyer who had successfully filed for war reparation claims of 30 million euros for the families of the victims of Distomo. Although approved by the Greek Supreme Court, the case is still pending since it was never signed by the Greek Justice Minister. The sisters have followed in their father's footsteps.
There's a moral issue involving Germany here because of the behavior of the Nazis against Greek citizens and their relatives who are now making claims. When things like this happen, the least that one can do is apologize. And there's always the question of compensation that goes together with the moral obligation. So there's a joint obligation. This is not what we're saying, it's what the law says.
Claiming war reparations was one of Alexis Tsipras' main election campaign promises. Reparations Athens has put at some 280 billion euro. Money owed not only to compensate victims but also from forced loans, stolen antiquities, and a brutality that killed 1/10 of Greece's wartime population. But Berlin argues it's already paid reparations under a 1961 bilateral agreement. It also says it's poured money into Athens since it joined the EU and later the euro. This man is in Germany to prove the contrary. Manolis Glessos is a living legend. This 92-year-old World War II veteran became a hero when he pulled down the Nazi flag from the Acropolis in 1941. He's been fighting for war reparations for decades. Today, he's in Hamburg, invited by a small left-wing German party which supports Athens' call for reparations.
Γι' αυτό προτείνω και σε εσάς να μου πείτε, Μανώλη, δεν σε έχουμε ανάγκη. Από τώρα και στα εξής θα προχωρήσουμε χωρίς να σε έχουμε ανάγκη. Το θέμα ως τώρα ήταν θέμα ελληνικό.
The issue of war reparations until now was a Greek issue. And then, when I became a member of the European Parliament, I managed to bring this issue to a European level, so it became a European problem. Now, during this road trip, I'm hoping to bring it to the German people so that it will become a German issue, because I really believe that the solution will come from the German people.
Yeah, that's a great title. But critics in Germany, as well as in other EU member states, argue that the timing of war reparations coincides with the Greek debt crisis. At 300 billion euros, the amount is almost the same.
We are against making one debt cancel out the other. We're not talking about the same amount of money, the amounts are not the same, and all this is just propaganda. They're trying to discredit our demands.
There's little doubt that discrediting what many Greeks see as an historical injustice is a highly emotional issue. Even more emotional when the country they are targeting, Germany, is also blamed in large part for the austerity measures imposed by the EU-IMF bailout. But can the two really be disassociated?
Well, this was apart from the pre-election campaign of the Syriza, the leftist party, to put pressure on Germany. And after the election, Tsipras himself wanted to put pressure on Germany in order to politically sell the issue to the Greek public opinion. Nevertheless, it is important to say that during the press conference with Chancellor Merkel in Berlin, Tsipras said that it's all about a moral issue. It's not an economic issue. So this constitutes a U-turn in the approach of the Greek Prime Minister regarding the war reparation and also the occupation loan.
Like the negotiations for the Greek debt, the issue of war reparations is a long, complicated and emotional procedure that will take years or even decades, a luxury some people can no longer afford.
It never crossed our minds that we could ask for compensation. We didn't even know that we had the right to do this. We had in our minds our families that we'd lost, so we didn't think about reparations. It was other people who reminded us of this, told us we had a right to demand this. We would never believe it, and I still don't believe we'll get any compensation. And for me now, it's too late.
Αποζημίωση